Well, welcome everyone to the On Purpose Show, where we unite compassionate healthcare providers and empower the community to find the precise healthcare services they need for the best possible outcomes. Welcome, and I'd like to introduce my co-host, Martha. And Martha, you're muted, but there you go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another day with us. The On Purpose Show. Thank you, Alyssa, for introducing me, and I'm super excited to be here. I'm excited to not only be here virtually, but I'm excited to be here in the West Coast, Alyssa, for the first time.
I know. Martha comes from New Jersey, and so she's always, 3 hours ahead, and here she's actually on Pacific Standard Time today as she's in California.
I sure am. First time on the show at 12:30, and I'm excited to have midday and have the show happening in my day. So I'm super excited for today. Before we get started, I would love to introduce who we have here on the show. What do you say?
Sounds great. Thank you, Martha.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you all again for watching. I would love to get started with Jonathan Killingbeck. Coming from Olympia, John is the owner and CEO of Northwest Neuro Training, a center focused on enhancing the coordination and performance of the eyes, the brain, and the body. With over a decade of experience working with elite athletes, John expanded his expertise to open the first public neuroplasticity training center in Thurston County. His career is dedicated to unraveling the intricacies of the human brain's adaptability. This is so funny, Alyssa. Look at that. I was like, I better not twist that word. Learning processes, amazing, and lifelong evolution, with the ultimate aim of helping individuals of all backgrounds enhance their cognitive abilities and mind-body connections. John, welcome to the show. I would love to hear a fun fact that you would like to share to the group.
Fun fact, I've been to 46 of the 50 states.
Wow. How did you do that?
That's a fun fact.
Say that again?
How have you done that?
A lot through, I used to coach college volleyball, so I probably did 25 of those states while being a college coach.
Amazing. That's
a fun fact.
That is a cool fun fact.
Super cool fun fact. Thank you, John, for sharing that fun fact. I am striving to get to that number too. Next, we have Kathleen Neal coming from Olympia as well. Kathleen is a dedicated physical therapist with a focus on women's health and pelvic floor physical therapy, chronic pain and autoimmune disease management, and somatic nervous system regulation, serving the Olympia and Greater Seattle area. With a Bachelor of Science from Southeastern Louisiana University and a doctorate of physical therapy from the University of St. Augustine, she brings extensive educational background to her practice. She's committed to educating her patients about their body's intricate connections and strives to improve their well-being. Beyond her professional endeavors, Kathleen enjoys outdoor activities like kayaking, camping, and hiking, as well as cooking and listening to podcasts and forming special bonds with friends' cats due to apartment restrictions on having pets. Kathleen, welcome to the show. What's a fun fact about yourself?
Thank you so much for having me. A fun fact about myself, this has been a few years ago, I was on a flight from LA to New Orleans to visit my family. And I just happened to have been sitting next to the inventor of the anatomy coloring books. So that's a thing. Apparently, I never used them when I was in PT school, but he was very excited once he found out that I was a physical therapist to let me know that he invented the anatomy coloring book. So yeah, that was exciting.
That is cool. Did he give you a coloring book? Did he share?
I mean, bless his heart, he was trying to pull up Amazon, and he didn't have Wi-Fi connected to his phone. And I was like, I'll look it up. I'll remember your name. So I actually bought one, when I got back home. So anyway, so that's my celebrity encounter.
Very cool.
That's a That's a pretty cool celebrity to meet.
For sure.
That's awesome. Thank you, Kathleen, for that fun fact. Next, we have Tracy Marquis from Rainier. Tracy is a certified nutrition and health coach with 24 years of experience in the health and wellness industry, incorporating various bodywork and energy modalities into her practice. She specializes in electrolymphatic drainage therapy to assist individuals in achieving their health goals and enhancing their digestive well-being. Tracy resides in Rainier with her husband and their dog, emphasizing the importance of maintaining a clean, detoxified body through daily movement and a healthy organic diet to support one's overall well-being. Tracy, welcome to the show. What's a fun fact that you'd like to share with us all?
Good morning. Actually, it's Marquis, but common mistake, so no worries.
That's my
Just
fault.
without-
I didn't.
No worries, just without the accent. Wow, I'm just sitting here. Fun fact, I don't even know if I have one, except for, I guess this is kind of a fun fact. I am an avid outdoors person and I walk probably every day. And living in the Pacific Northwest, I probably own every piece of outdoor gear, no matter the weather, as long as it's not icy, I'm out there. So I guess that's kind of fun. I've got a whole closet full of nothing but gear.
That's super cool. Way to go.
That is super cool, and I love that. Thank you so much, Tracy, for sharing that, and thank you for correcting the pronunciation of your last name. I also appreciate that. And last but not least, it is 2014, and she weighs just 93 pounds and can hardly get out of bed with no real solutions from doctors. One thing for sure was her determination to not give up and to begin searching for answers. Her discovery of functional medicine became a passion for helping others avoid and eliminate pain. In 2016, she completed functional nutrition school, and 2 years later, she started her health coaching business. A year later, she watched her father go from being very active and fit to sedentary, with major muscle atrophy and debilitating sciatic pain. She was introduced to soft wave therapy, an exciting breakthrough option in the field of regenerative medicine. After becoming a certified soft wave technician and treating her father, he was pain-free. And since then, many others have had similar outcomes and have said that they have gotten their lives back. And this is our host, Alyssa Hargan. Alyssa, what is a fun fact that you would like to share with the group?
So, a fun fact, first of all, I was having a hard time thinking of a fun fact. And so I was like, Martha, help me out. What's some prompts here? And she's like, well, do you have any special anniversaries or anything? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, this month is the 5th anniversary of starting my business. So it'll be 5 years on October 30th. So thanks, Martha, for that. Help and
Happy 5 years.
Thank
Congrats.
you. Thank you.
Amazing. So I think that is the entire group, and I would love for us to get started.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Martha. I appreciate you introducing everyone, and I'm so glad to see you all here. So let's go ahead and start with Kathleen. Kathleen, what inspired you to go into physical therapy?
I get that question a lot. The normal story is that somebody has been injured, as a teenager, college years, and then they work with a PT and it inspires them to become a PT. I was just the weirdo that likes to watch the way people walk and kind of wonder, like, why are they walking like that? Or, just when I didn't know what I wanted to do when I went to college, but I had a full ride university scholarship, which was great, without being an athlete. So I was working on campus, and one of my coworkers was mentioning physical therapy and occupational therapy. So I remember that I have some friends who are a few years older than me that were occupational therapists. And so I was chatting with them about what's all involved. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I can do the occupational therapy. There's a lot of psychiatric elements to it, which is really cool. It's just not something that, I'm all about. But so yeah, really it was just realizing like they're gait analysis experts, and they do a lot of hands-on work too. And so there's an interest in helping somebody help themselves instead of just like writing a prescription, here's a pill and take care of yourself with that. So there's a lot of like interaction and follow-up with being a physical therapist, and there's so many different genres of physical therapy, pediatric, sports. I delve more into like chronic stuff and women's health and pelvic floor. But there's so many other aspects to physical therapy, and yeah, it's been a journey since then. So yeah, really just being my own little weird self and realizing that I like to watch and analyze the way people walk, and the specialty with that is physical therapy. So
That's really cool. Kind of like there's body language experts, and you're a gait how would you say that? Body gait expert.
yeah, gait analysis expert.
Gait analysis expert.
Yeah.
I like that. That's amazing. So I know what you do, and like you said, there's many different forms of physical therapy, and I think most people are probably familiar with the type of physical therapy where you go see a physical therapist and you have someone help you doing exercises and maybe stretch cords, weights, things like that. So how do you do things? I would love to see and hear what you differentiate between that and other types of physical therapy.
Yeah, so I have worked in those types of clinics where you go in, you see your patient for like 10-15 minutes, kind of get an idea of how they've been since the last session. And then you kind of hand them off to a therapy tech that does not have really the adequate education or any license whatsoever for that. And you do like a monitoring things as you move on to the next patient. So thankfully the PT school that I went to was very heavily involved in manual therapy, and kind of gave us a really good baseline on how to grow from there. I realized that I could never work in a clinic where I'm, just relieving my patient onto somebody, partly because of some OCD, but also just because they're paying to me, like for me to really look at their dysfunction, right? And to really make sure that I'm getting the bigger picture of things. And I can't really do that in 10 to 15 minutes. So the way that I run my business, it's just me. I work one-on-one with all of my patients. And honestly, usually by the time somebody comes to see me, it's like through word of mouth, or they've kind of given up on that traditional physical therapy and a lot of traditional Western medicine interventions. And they honestly, they kind of feel like I'm their last hope in a lot of ways. So because it's really easy to get dismissed in a lot of primary care providers' offices where they only have so much time with you. They're complaining of urinary incontinence or pelvic pain, and after they've had their baby, for example, and the doctor's like, yeah, that's normal. Your parents say, yeah, that's normal. Your friends like, yeah, that happened to me too. And so you don't really get a lot of answers and a lot of guidance. And so probably like the first 30 minutes of what I do with them is just education. Like, this is what's going on in your body. Let's evaluate your body and see what's going on. So if they're coming to me for, let's say, pelvic floor dysfunction, I'm looking at the external as well as an internal pelvic floor exam. Sometimes on the first visit, I don't even do an internal exam because they might have some trauma. Sometimes they just need to be on my level first, or me meet them where they're at in their level and trust me. And so there's a lot that goes into the educational standpoint of things, and making them comfortable with their body, comfortable with me, and really getting a full understanding of the external and the internal part of things. I also do visceral manipulation, excuse me. And so that means that I'm looking at how their internal organs are or are not functioning, in a sense of, fascially, they might be stuck together. There could be, because of bony alignment, like say the hips, that could be creating more pressure onto the pelvic floor or the bladder. So just looking, there's scarring that can happen too. So just looking at the bigger picture, putting my hands on them when they're comfortable with that, and really utilizing manual therapy to help calm down their nervous system, to help release tension, whether it's in their viscera or their low back or their pelvic floor, wherever it may be, and then educating to them what they can do on themselves to help facilitate that on their own, and me just kind of being their guide along the way. I hope that makes sense.
That does, absolutely. So yeah, very hands-on, you're working on them. It's not like you're saying, here, you do this, at least during the sessions that you're with them. And I love that because, to be honest, it almost feels like when you go to some physical therapy sessions, you're just having someone tell you what to do, and you don't feel like you're getting any care, if that makes sense. At least from my experience. Yeah. And, having experienced a session with you, I, can attest to the fact that you really do feel, not only, heard and seen from you, but also you feel like it's a legitimate therapy session, like your nervous system is being calmed down, and you're really tuning into what the body is saying is off. So I think that's a very unique thing that sets you apart from a lot of other physical therapists.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I've realized that that nervous system piece has to be involved in pretty much everybody that I treat. Even if they're coming in, with like a sprained ankle. Like, people call me all the time and they're like, yeah, I sprained my ankle, or like I hurt my back doing, something, but the body is it's so in protective drive, right? Protective mode, even after, excuse me, an injury like that it needs some other finesse to calm that down too. So, and really focus more on healing as opposed to just protecting. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. We will be coming back around again, but I'm going to move on to John. And I have a similar question for you. What inspired you to go into the neuro healing aspect of what you do?
Yeah, so what I do is called neuroplasticity rehab. And it started with, I was coaching a youth volleyball player who had a learning delay, a processing speed delay. And as a former college coach, her goal was to play in college. And as a former college coach, I know most college coaches will pass over those kids because it sounds harsh, but they need kids who can see the game, read the game, and adapt, right? And so it had been probably 15 years since I'd researched what could help. And so I was like, there wasn't really anything back then, but let's see if anything's changed. And I went down a rabbit hole like a lot of us do, and I came across the equipment that I use in my practice now. And it just was this light bulb moment of, I have a neurodivergent son and it could help him, right? And I have a grandma who passed away with dementia, and I see how worried my mom is about it, and it can help her. And it just was this light bulb moment of all these people in my personal life that I knew could help them with whatever they're going through this board we use.
Awesome. And I love that you have such a compassion for, the underdogs, or the outcasts, so to speak. The people that would typically be overlooked and, not given a chance to, play those type of sports because of their disabilities. That just really says a lot about you and your heart. So thank you for doing what you do. So what does a typical session with you look like?
So in our office, we have a 6 foot by 2 foot LED touchboard that was designed by a neurologist at the University of Michigan. And so people come in and they, for lack of a better term, play games, right? And we have, I think, 19 different ones that are all adjustable to where you're at, and then we can slowly dial them up to get improvement. And while you're playing games, we're playing certain games to help with different parts of the brain. So whether you're coming to see us because of balance and memory issues or processing speed or just eye training themselves. I had a client who was with me and had glaucoma, and she went back to her eye doctor after her visits, and her eye doctor goes, I don't know what's going on, but your eyes are better. You don't need to take the medication anymore. Right. And so, people come in, they play these games, and each session is about 10 to 15 minutes. And anywhere from 1 to 3 times a week, depending on what the client wants.
Okay. And you said, so 10 to 15 minute sessions,
Yep.
1 to 3 times a week. Usually is this like a lifetime thing, or from the time they start to ongoing to just to keep them always sharp and tuned up even after they've progressed and, gotten a lot of benefit already? What does that look like?
Yeah, so everything we track is tracked down to the nanomillimeter and the nanosecond. And so we're showing scores on everything, and Tracy's done it, she knows. And so usually we start with a 10 visit package, and then we reassess where you're at. And a lot of people, they're good at that point. We kind of took their brain to the gym and got it back in shape, right? And they're good to go. Some other people are starting further behind because of trauma or age or both. And so 10 maybe isn't quite enough, but usually it's 10, and then we remeasure and kind of see where you're at.
Okay, so 10 visits. Can you just give me a few, other than the, say, for example, the glaucoma patient that got some amazing results with their eyesight, what can people typically expect?
So, there's that aha moment, and there's 3 recent ones from clients coming in, because usually about visit 4 or 5, I tell the client that's when you'll start to notice it in your everyday life. One of them was a gentleman who had been going to the same lunch with his friends for 25 years every Tuesday. And he started to forget his friends' names. And it scared him because his parents passed away with dementia, right? And he's seen this story play out in his own family. And when he first came in, he could only hold a sequence of 3. So red, blue, yellow, right? On the 3rd visit, we could get him to hold a sequence of 10. And by about visit 5, he was back to feeling confident to go back to those
John?
lunches. Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else did, but your sound just like went down. Does everybody else hear him okay?
Mm-hmm.
I can hear him fine.
I heard him fine.
Okay.
I heard him fine. Yeah.
Something weird on my end. It was just went down to a whisper on my end.
So after about
Better.
5 visits, he was feeling comfortable to go back to those lunches with his friends because his brain had gotten back to where he wasn't forgetting those names anymore. And then one of them, he's a veteran with PTSD. And we got his brain's processing speed to improve 402% in 10 visits, right? His brain is literally working 4 times faster. But where it came in his everyday life was he started to play with his kids again. He started to work out again. And at the end of it, he started his own business. And now his business has been going for over a year now. So those are the ones that I really like to share.
That's amazing. And what was the guy's age again? If you can give me a rough
His age he's 38.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he just served in the military and had PTSD. And
Yep.
so we were able to get that brain to get back on track.
That's amazing. That's really exciting. I'm so thankful that there's technologies like that out there, and that is workable for people. It's not like, not that an hour out of your day would not be worth it, because it definitely would. But even something as short as 10 minutes a day would prove such an immense benefit is really exciting.
Well, and it's one of those things when you're working with your eyes and your brain, they actually get tired pretty quickly. And so like I'm very competitive, so I want to beat my own scores on these. And one time I was on for like 17 minutes and I stepped off, and my brain is like, what did you just do to me? So 10 to 15 is about where you want to cut it off about there.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise you need a big long nap after that.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you for sharing that. And Tracy, so you do health coaching, you do lymphatic stimulation. How long have you been doing this, and what inspired you to get into it?
Well, I've been doing the lymphatic work now for, I was just counting, almost 5 years. I entered into nutritional counseling and health coaching as a way to retire myself from my massage career. I was a massage therapist for 23 years. That's my actual background.
Yeah.
And so I moved into back to school, got my certification in nutritional counseling and health coaching, and started a business part-time in the town where I live, while I was still working for a chiropractor full-time in Lacey doing massage. So that was progressing, and it was slow in the beginning, but it was moving along. And luckily I still had a full-time job.
Yeah.
And in 2017, I had in the same year 2 acute inflammatory issues of my own that took me to this lymphatic work. There's an outfit up in Seattle called Tummy Temple, and they specialize in the electrolymphatic work and colon hydrotherapy. Well, they opened a satellite clinic in Lacey with one of their doctors, and I had gone to her demo at the opening of her office. And it was fascinating because my background is body working, so I understand lymphatic work, right? And then not 6 months later, I had a complication with some nerve impingement under my collarbone that left a lot of inflammation at the sternum, where the collarbone and the sternum meet. And it was very painful. I couldn't work. I thought about her. So I went to see her, and she did amazing things with that inflammation in just 3 visits. It took me about a month for the soreness to go away, and I was getting repeated adjustments, but what she did in the immediate was incredible. And then about maybe another 6-7 months later, I developed a skin condition on my left foot that was very painful. It was called dyshydrotic eczema. So it blisters and tears at the skin, but it so congested my lymphatic system from my knee to my ankle that it was swollen and very painful. So I went back to her again. And again, within about 3 sessions, she opened that leg up and got that that inflammation out. It took me about 3 months to heal the skin, to really heal the foot. But again, so impressed with the work that I had personally had done, excuse me. So I knew what I could do with this, with my background in body working. And I was already had the nutritional piece and the life coach or the health coaching piece. So I brought it in, and I was very well received. I had a private massage practice in Neal between 96 and 08. So I knew a lot of people out here as it was. And so I invited some people over, and it was very well received. And over the last 4 years has become the focus of what I do. I still do the health coaching and the nutritional counseling, although most of my work is around the health and function of a healthy lymphatic system.
That's amazing. So what typically, could someone expect when they come see you and, get this?
It's very bio-individual, because that's a question I get a lot. People want to know how many, how long, what's it going to do to me, all that. And because it is different for everyone, it aren't questions I can really answer. But typically, when you first start coming to see me, you're going to have, everybody usually has the same sort of initial detox, like, I'm kind of tired now, I'm going to go home and take a nap. I'm in the bathroom more the next couple of days because it's a major detox pathway. Those, I've got a little headache because I've been moving toxins, so those things are fairly common amongst everyone. So, I'm very much about hydration and rest. Your lymphatic system functions the best through rest and digest, parasympathetic. So yeah, those are the things that you can expect usually right off the bat. And depending on why you've come and what you've got going on, we just go from there. So
That's great. Well, it's on my to-do list to come see
yeah,
you.
yeah.
So what kind of, if someone had, was kind of wondering what types of, conditions you have treated, what, I know you said inflammation.
It varies. It's really, truly, I've come to believe that there is really nothing out there that you can't affect for the better by enhancing the function of your lymphatic system, because it so influences absolutely every other organ system. It's the sewage system for your blood. If your lymphatic system were to stop working, dry up, whatever, you'd be a walking blood infection in less than 2 days. It's a really big job. But I see a lot of different things. Anything, congestion and inflammation, you bring those two together, and that's usually what the lymphatic system is working with. So allergies, pain and inflammation, constipation, brain fog, respiratory. I get lots of good results with allergies. Just boosting the immune system in general. Your lymphatic system is how the immune system sees what it needs to be doing and what it needs to go after. So if you're congested and just not moving the way it should, it's like putting a blindfold and a straitjacket on your immune system. It literally can't do its job. So it's really hard to pin down. I mean, I get a lot of cancer patients who come to flush the chemo drugs from their system after treatment. Like I was saying, allergies and pain, anything that has to do with circulatory things, even right down to, I had a guy who'd been CAT scanned and MRI'd, and he had horrific stabbing pain in his head that came and went, never knew what to expect when it was coming, and they couldn't figure out what was going on with him. And his wife works with my husband, and he came to start seeing me. And he literally called me on after his 4th treatment, and he's like, there are things moving in my head. I'm like, things are supposed to move in your head. No. There are things moving in the back of my head. So he'd had just years of sinus problems, and things had stopped to move in his head, and it was resulting in all this pain. So because he gave up some things in his life, dairy and different things he quit, and that helped a lot. But he got to coming every week for about 6 weeks, and then backed it off to twice a month. And now I see him about once every 3-4 months, and he's good for a while, and then things start to reoccur. So he's working on that. But just there's really nothing it's not good for.
Okay.
Anything you're doing in your life, it's like Kathleen was saying, anything you're doing in your life, good or bad, is going to be enhanced and improved by a functioning, healthy lymphatic system.
Very true. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Tracy. So Kathleen, I'm going to come back to you. I know you focus on women's health and autoimmune, but who are your ideal clients? If you had, you could pick or not.
No, that's a really good question. I truly don't discriminate. It's like anybody can walk in the door, and I try to do whatever I can to help them. But I just have such a heart for people who, like I said, who feel like I am their last hope, and nothing else has worked, and they don't feel heard. And usually those are people that have had some sort of trauma in their life, and like me trying to show them how to, it's very similar. I think not very similar. I'm not using the technology that Jonathan is using, but in the sense of reorganizing their thoughts as to how their trauma is settling in their bodies and how it's manifesting their bodies and how they can work through that. I am obviously not a psychiatrist, but it's really, really great to have other providers like Tracy and John to work together. So that way, I'm treating the person as a whole. And it's like, these are the things that I can do for you, but these are other practitioners out there that can help with that. So women in particular, just because honestly, we get the short end of the stick in a lot of like medical research. And a lot of like autoimmune stuff tends to pop up like for around my age and on up. And I'm 38 too, so I forgot I think there was a 38-year-old that John had mentioned, you know, with like starting to get like some brain fog and forgetfulness, and I'm like, we'll probably need to book a session with John quite soon. So because that's definitely a thing with my ADHD. And so just, you know, trying to see ADHD, where do I go back to? So, you know, women, yeah, right, here we go. Yeah, women in particular, the pelvic floor things, I really want to help people understand that their urinary incontinence or their pelvic pain is more than just their vagina and more than just their pelvic floor, and to help them understand the greater concept of how their body works together, even in the really weird ways, you know, because even, you know, like with Tracy, having a stagnant lymphatic system in the pelvic region can create pain and can create a lot of other dysfunction to constipation, you name it. And so I really love a puzzle, and I really love it when people come to me with some strange things. Um, I've seen so many odd things, but yeah, I don't know. I don't discriminate. I don't have a favorite, but mostly women who are just struggling and just want somebody to listen and just want somebody to give them some sort of plan.
Yep.
And that's where I feel like I tend to do best in. So
Amazing. Well, I love your heart for helping people. And I know you'd mentioned earlier, you know, the fact that you don't want to hand off your patients to anybody else because of your OCD, but I also happen to believe that it's also because you want to give people the best possible care and you want them to get results and to get better. So
yeah, and you know, also like what Tracy was saying earlier, that you know, you see somebody for a few sessions and like they can pretty much manage some things on their own, especially when we're dealing with things that are not super repairable, you know, like when you have an autoimmune dysfunction or, you know, a grade 4 pelvic floor tear, right? Like there's things that are going to need some maintenance, you know, along the way. And so, and our lives are not linear. It's not like we just go through and things just are perfect and just keep getting more and more perfect, you know, like we have things that happen in our lives. And again, that manifests physically in a lot of ways. And so people come in with like chronic low back pain, they've had MRIs, they've had all this stuff, and you know, they just don't know where this pain is coming from. Well, it's like it might be manifesting around your liver, and so let's, you know, or whatever I might find, right? And so, but because our visceral organs attach by ligaments to our spine, there are so many implications to that, why people have just generalized back pain that never truly gets solved with exercises and stretching and modalities and or surgeries. So those are just, to me, like really important aspects to look at.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that, Kathleen.
Thank you.
And John, what about you? Do you have ideal clients, anybody in particular that you would love to say, you know, these are a good fit for me?
Yeah, so, you know, like both Tracy and Kathleen, like I have as young as 6 and as old as 86 as clients. What probably I've had the best with are people who are looking for that help and maybe they've tried other things. You know, I had a young girl, she's 16, a lot of psychological uniquenesses, to where she never wanted to leave the house, right? And after her second visit, she asked her mom to take her to the park, right? Like those are the stories that warm my heart, right? Those are the people I want to work with, right? And so anybody that's felt like that, I had a 83-year-old veteran, and on his 5th visit, I started showing him how he's doing better. And he looked up to me with like almost a slight little tear in his eye, and he goes, "I can do better." And I'm like, yes, you can do better, right? So I love working with those people that have felt like that are stuck, or that's how life has to be, because that's not how it has to be. The brain is amazing and can do amazing things, and I just want to help you help your brain get back there.
That's amazing. Yeah, to be able to offer people that hope. And, I mean, we so come to accept that, once you hit a certain age, it's just all downhill and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's just part of life that you just have to accept. And, I am a firm believer in the body's ability to heal itself given the proper environment. And, obviously what you're doing is giving that environment for the brain to not only, heal, but also to, get stronger.
Well, and that's like my one thing, like I get on my soapbox about, is like our brains don't decline because of age. They decline because we don't stimulate them the way they need to be stimulated.
Yeah.
Right? Neurons need blood, they need glucose, or they need the blood for oxygen. They need glucose and they need stimulation. And so, especially in retirement age, our brain abilities decline because we're not stimulating the brain like we were. So I'm a big fan of like, let's keep it stimulated and we'll do fine.
That's great. I love that. Thank you so much, John. And Tracy, coming back to you, I know kind of at the end, we touched on, who this works for, but do you have anything else that you'd like to add as far as like ideal clients? Any favorite?
It's always fun. I always like to think that one of my biggest attributes is that I have the ability to really meet people where they are. I think Kathleen mentioned something along the same lines. And so depending on why people are here, but the ones that the autoimmune issues, and the pain and inflammation issues, it's really, really rewarding to have somebody call me the next day and be like, my knees don't hurt. I slept all night long for the first time and I can't tell you when.
Wow.
My restless leg is better. Just it's incredible. Or I have a little boy who was not a little anymore. He's in middle school, but is my neighbor, and horrific springtime allergies, just really suffered. And his mom would bring him to see me, and he'd be good for days with no medication after a treatment.
Wow.
So it's really, like I said, very bio-individual. But and then you get the ones like I had this woman who horrible pain. She'd had surgeries. She had back pain. She did not sleep through the night. She came to see me, and I told her, like I tell everyone, this is what you could experience. Detox is different for everybody. Just know that, you may have some discomfort for the next couple of days. So she calls me 2 days later and she's like, well, I went home and I didn't really feel anything. And I went to bed and I went to sleep. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, I got up and I vomited for about 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh my God, here it comes. She goes, but I had absolutely no pain today, all day long. I'm like, okay. I mean, you just never know what form it's going to take.
Yep.
So I just, always try and go in with an open mind and just meet them where they're at. I do a lot of education. People, your lymphatic system is one of the most undereducated systems out there because nobody talks to you about it. I mean, it's only been the last 20 years that even the medical system has really pulled it out of trying to combine it with blood and looked at the huge job that it does. Yes. So like I'm forever the student with this because there's always new stuff coming out.
Yeah.
So a lot of what I do is show people the myriad of things they can do all day long to move that lymphatic system and keep it functioning well.
Absolutely. I know I definitely hear you on that we don't talk enough about the lymph. And I remember in nutrition school, one of the things I learned was that by rebounding, like jumping on a trampoline, you can eat just for even 7 minutes a day. Yep. You can boost your immune system by like 70%. Yep. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so easy. Because we have what they say, 70% of our immune system is located in the gut. Is that not the accurate percentage? And we have GALT, which is the gut associated lymphatic tissue. So, it makes sense why our lymph and our gut and all these things are so intertwined and important.
80% of the lymph nodes in your body exist above the waist. 50% of the lymph nodes in your body are cervical and sternum because breathing is so physical. And then the rest are small intestine and around your organs. So because there's so much that goes on above the waist, right? So yeah,
Exactly.
no, it's and you talk about rebounding, and even just standing in front of your kitchen sink, bouncing on your toes. I mean, it's all about movement, hot and cold, running water, all about shocking the system and forcing it, because your lymphatic system has no pump of its own, like your blood has your heart. It only moves through muscular contraction, so it moves because you do, and whatever that entails is going to move your lymphatic system.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Well, thank you so much again for sharing that, Tracy. And anything else that anybody would like to add that you would like our audience? Go ahead, John.
I just want to say I've done Tracy's stuff, and it's amazing. And I felt so much better right away. I get what a lot of guys get, which is like sinus congestion at night. And that was the first night I didn't have it set in, and it stuck for, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks before I saw her again. And it was so amazing. It was that quick. So I just wanted to shout out Tracy.
Yes, and I must shout out John also. It's incredible work, incredible. I've done the 10 sessions. I need to come back. And my scores improved. I was so happy with myself. I what was it, John? Decision making.
Yeah.
When I first started, I had a really tough time with the decision making games, but it all improved. It's phenomenal work.
Thank you, Tracy.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again. And Martha, I know you have some things that you would like to ask.
Yes, I would love to ask a couple questions, but before I do so, I just want to acknowledge each and every one of you for everything you've shared, to not only the group and the audience that are watching, but myself. I always learn a thing or 10 whenever I'm on these shows, because I am not in your field of genius work, and the amount of healing that you do for so many in your community. So there's always something that I'm learning, and I am super grateful for that. So thank you. Note to self, stimulate the brain every single day, 10 times, 50 times a day. But thank you again. So yes, I would love to ask Tracy. Tracy, if there was someone that said, hey, Tracy, I got invited to the On Purpose show. What is it about? Would you recommend me go? Yes, no? What would be some thoughts that you could share with that person?
Well, definitely my experience today has been, I have to tell you, I've never done this. I was a little nervous, but I think it's totally quality. It's such a great way to enlighten the public, because there's so much, like the stuff John does, like the stuff I do, and Kathleen, out there that people don't know about. They don't know all the different things out there that can help them. And so it's podcasts and webinars like this that really enlighten and help the public be more informed.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Were you going to say something, Martha?
Yes, you froze a little bit. I wanted to give you time, but yes, absolutely. And thank you, Tracy, for that share. And Alyssa, you don't know what you don't know. John, if someone was like, hey, John, should I join? Should I not? What was your experience? What would be something you could share with them?
Well, I think first off, it's amazing. It's well run. It's on time, which is huge as business owners. We all have limited time, right? But it's not ever, I never go into anything about what can Northwest Neuro Training get out of this. I want to know what Kathleen does, and I want to know what Tracy does and what Alyssa does, because I want to be a connector to help my clients to the highest degree. And there's things that Kathleen and Tracy and Alyssa do that I don't do, but I know if I learn about them and refer them, that they'll be taken well care of. And that's why I tell people to do it.
That's amazing, John. You have such a beautiful heart. And obviously you are among all of us as far as wanting to help people get better and feel better and live the fullest lives and be able to do what they're passionate about.
Absolutely. Thank you, John, for that share. And Kathleen, what would be some thoughts that you would like to share to anyone out there wondering if they should join?
I would definitely say to do it. If it gives you a few minutes to just nerd out on your personal preference and topics, right? I mean, we all do what we do because we love it. And to be able to create our little niches and then tell everybody about it, that it really does mean a lot. And to know where other providers are that can also help facilitate my patients' healings, I think that's phenomenal. And, you know, you're not going to really find that in, you know, a major hospital system per se, because like there's so much limitations on providers like us. So that's why we tend to go and create our own, right? So yeah, I'm 10 out of 10 would recommend. Do it.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, John, for all of your time. Alyssa, would you like to wrap us up?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm just going to go around and ask where people can find you. If you want to give some, you know, you're welcome to give as much information, website, email, phone number that the public can reach you at. And we'll go ahead and start with you, Kathleen.
Okay. So the name of my business is Integral Foundations Physical Therapy. I know you don't want to say that 10 times. So let me see if I can find,
and we'll share, by the way, everything that you guys say. We'll share that in the caption.
Yeah.
But yeah, just quick.
That'll probably be easiest. Like I'm on, like, I don't really do Instagram all that much that well. But I do have a Facebook page and I do have a website. So you can get like information from me there, and reach out, email. There's my phone number and all that. So it's integralfoundationspt.com.
Perfect. And Tracy, where can people find you?
You can find me at fieldthetransformation.net. And then you can reach me by email at fieldthetransformation@gmail.com. I'm in Rainier, right downtown, all 3 blocks of it. So I'm pretty easy to find. Yeah, and all my phone numbers on my webpage. I do have a Facebook page, Field the Transformation, and I think I have an Instagram page too. I'm terrible with social media, but yes, no, I do have both. So you can find me either place.
Okay, great. How about you, John?
Northwest, spelled out because why would I make life easy on myself? But Northwest Neuro Training.com is where you're going to find the most research about all the stuff we help. But please follow us Facebook, Instagram. We try to keep it really light and educational but fun. And then also on LinkedIn. Perfect.
And yes, we will be sending out all your contact info to each of you. So keep your eyes out for that in your email. And then we will also add your contact info to the replay caption that we put out on Facebook. And yeah, I think we covered that. John, I think that that's, you know, just helping people use their brain more, right? When they have to spell out the whole Northwest Neuro Training.
Yeah, it's the first test.
Exactly. Why make it easy? It's like we're already trying to help them use their brain more. So
that's fun. That's fun. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We hope to see you again. Please look out for anyone watching on the recap and the recording of this, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yes, you all have a wonderful day, afternoon. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Goodbye.